Welcome to Tripp County, Winter, South Dakota, as we make history today. Today is the day we dedicate our Charters of Freedom. What are the Charters of Freedom? Well, these are freedom documents that our founding fathers wrote some 243 years ago. They're the reasons we have freedoms. They're the reasons that we are free to gather here today. As I learned about these documents, it amazed me at the forward thinking of Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and all the others. Our future comes from our history. We need to be sure that we educate the youth in our history and why our veterans fight for our freedoms. So I thought it'd be easy to recognize everyone who helped. As I prepared for today, I realized I would never be able to do that. I would never be able to remember everyone. We had cash donations. The last 3 weeks, we've had volunteer labor, volunteer cookie makers, ice cream runners, Gatorade deliverers, dinner buyers, chair deliverers, community support like no other. A lot of this I myself never witnessed, but every night at the end of the day, I would hear the good deeds that were done of this giving community. Thank you. This would not be possible without Vance and Mary Jo Patterson. It wouldn't be possible without and Vance and Mary Jo's staff from Foundation Forward. Richard and Bev Ruhl for passing the opportunity on to Tripp County, Winter, South Dakota. And now I'm in trouble. Bob Benson and Judy Benson. Bob was the first person I showed this to when I got the email from the Rubels. From that day forward, Bob was the driving force, and he's the one that said, Winter is getting this. Bob was the guy that talked to the contractors, that got them to volunteer labor, time, energy, material. Tripp County for the land and money for making things look nice. Winter, the city of Winter, for their encouragement and support. And nothing happens without media. We have KWYR, Scott, Leslie, Isaac Schramm, and staff. The Winter Advocate, Dan and Colton and staff, along with all the other area newspapers and radios. Recording history today, we have Jack and Dee Williams. Back at the beginning, things were easy. This project was started with some core people and contractors. It's hard to thank them enough. Mead Lumber, Todd Mosher and staff were willing to donate the brick when we planned on a brick setting. Blake, Emily, Jalen, Allie, and Lauren Tiedemann. Blake says he didn't do anything, but he had ideas. He talked to contractors. He drew up plans. Now we're down to the 3 core players, our 3 core contractors. These guys, I can't say enough about them. They went way above and beyond anything that we could have dreamed of. We have McCready Construction. Miles, Darby, Daisy McIntyre, and the crew with Ron and Judy McCready stepped forward and willingly volunteered to do all the dirt work at no cost to us. Kutra Electric, Bob, Shelley, Tyler, and Danielle, all the Kutra Electric staff. They did a great job of lighting up our Charters of Freedom. Again, they willingly volunteered the electrical, along with being the drop-off point for any supplies that came in. Next, but not least, we have Rosebud Concrete. Marilyn Grossberg, Rich Lauber, Chris Center, Monty Hansen, Frank Espinozo, Bill Foote, and Donald Qualo, and all the staff from Rosebud Concrete. What you see here today is the artwork of Rosebud Concrete. This company took ownership in this project and spent many hours pouring concrete, along with all the final touches. And like all the contractors, worked in the heat and with the mosquitoes. All 3 of these contractors did amazing things. These are huge donations to our community, and we are very lucky that they live in this community with us. Thank you, guys. I apologize for anyone that I've missed.
Wow, this This is truly amazing. I was in your parade this morning, and I've never been in a parade before, so I didn't know what to do. I'm sitting there, they didn't give me any candy, and I was really out of my element. But, and not only that, you all didn't know me, but I got to see you, and I am so impressed with your city. And I'm so proud of you all for showing up and being here for this dedication. My question is, are you ready to be a part of history? Because we're going to dedicate your Charters of Freedom setting, and it's going to be here for hundreds of years into the future. And your future generations are going to know that you were here and did this for them. My name is Vance Patterson. I'm from Burke County, North Carolina. That's in the western part, up in the hills. I'm a father of 4, married 44 years to my wife, Mary Jo. I'm a businessman. I have a company that makes industrial fans. We actually make things out of metal, ship them across the country and around the world. I am an American manufacturer. I'm going to tell you a little about the inspiration behind the foundation that made this possible for you here in Winter. I'm going to tell you a little about your setting here, and then I'm going to tell you what I see a little bit coming in the future. 8 years ago, Mary Jo, my wife, and I were up in Washington, D.C., and we decided to go over to the National Archives because we'd never seen the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. We found ourselves wandering down these hallways looking at different exhibits, and it opened up into this large room. We walked through these big bronze gates into this rotunda, and there on the other side were the founding documents. They're in chronological order. The Declaration of Independence on the left, 4 pages of the Constitution in the middle, and the Bill of Rights on the right. Now, as I say, we'd never seen these before. So the first time I saw the Declaration of Independence, something our founding fathers had actually penned, and then saw their signatures, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Rutledge, and the others, I just got goosebumps. And then we moved over and saw the first page of the United States Constitution, and those 3 words, "We the people." I actually got a lump in my throat. I looked over, and Mary Jo's got tears in her eyes. It was really an emotional experience for us. Well, next year, back in Burke County, I was thinking about this experience, and the thought came to me, what if I could duplicate that experience and bring it back to the citizens of Burke County? So I told Mary Jo about the thought, and we got excited and started working on a project. It turned out to be an education project, and the scope was to design and build a replica of the Charters of Freedom as exhibited in the National Archives. Place that in a central location in Burke County. It had to have high visibility, high foot traffic, and easy access for school children and veterans. Well, it took 2 years to get this done, even though it was a gift from Mary Jo and I to the county. You see, there were a number of problems we ran into, you can only imagine. Well, one of the major ones was that there are no drawings available for what's in the National Archives. There are no dimensions, no measurements, no nothing. And we'd only seen these documents once. So after a late night approval from a joint session of the Burke County Commissioners and Morganton City Council, the next morning, Mary Jo and I got up, got back in the car, drove back up to Washington, and walked into that rotunda. Now, they won't let you just take out a tape measure and start measuring a national treasure. But we had a plan. Mary Jo went one way, and I went another. And I stepped up in front of the U.S. Constitution and did this. And I was standing in the middle. Meanwhile, Mary Jo was actually walking up to the other settings, turning around, facing the audience, and marking on her body the different elevations. And then we left before anybody started asking questions. So while your setting here may not be exactly what's up in Washington, keep in mind it's based on 2 paces of a short guy and 3 marks on my wife's body. There are 3 basic principles of Foundation Forward. Number 1, it's about education. It's about American history and civics, the history surrounding the founding of our country, and civics, so people understand how government is supposed to work. Number 2 is access. Not everybody can get to Washington, D.C. to see and get to the National Archives. It took Mary Jo and I over 60 years to get there the first time, even though it's free and open to the public. So we want to have local access to these documents in a proper setting. And number 3 is community. Having your charters of freedom here will allow your community to gather and celebrate, to honor and to reflect right here in downtown Winter. To date, Foundation Forward has dedicated 21 settings around the country. In North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Nebraska, South Dakota, and as far west as Carson City, Nevada. Yours is the 22nd, and the second one in South Dakota. We're pretty proud about that. We brag about South Dakota. Now, let me tell you a little about your setting here. This is not a tip-over monument. One of the things I learned growing up, going through life, is that if you want a monument or a setting to last, you put more underground than above ground. The foundation for the setting goes down 3.5 feet into the ground. It is solid, reinforced poured concrete, then comes up into a solid core. Just the foundation and the core of this centerpiece weighs over 38,000 pounds, over 19 tons. There are 6 documents on display here. Each one is life-size, which means the Declaration of Independence is a little bit larger than the others. It also means that the Bill of Rights, you need to know this before you come up and look at it. There is no historic document known as the Bill of Rights. What's on display in the National Archives are the first proposed 12 amendments signed by John Adams, President of the Senate. The first 2 were not ratified at the time. So when you come up and see this, you will see 12 amendments proposed. The first 2 were not ratified. The last 10 are your Bill of Rights. Each one of these documents up here is on a quarter inch etched bronze and weighs over 60 pounds. Each document is then covered by half-inch treated polycarbonate, which is unbreakable. I tell people, please don't try it. There is an emblem on the front, and it is exposed now. This is very special. We commissioned some artists around the world to design this. The eagle represents the Declaration of Independence. Proud, bold, defiant. The 7 stars above the eagle stand for the 7 articles of the United States Constitution. And the 10 stars under the eagle stand for the first 10 amendments, your Bill of Rights.
I'll just cover a little bit here. First of all, the Declaration of Independence. Okay. In March of 1776, North Carolina became the first state to want independence. And 7 states came on board about 3 months later. And then people met at the Independence Hall, or which became Independence Hall in Philadelphia, and all the states ratified the independence. Okay, well, this really didn't give them independence. All they did was tick off King George III, and he was not a happy guy because his cash cow was now revolting, and he didn't care for that. Okay, well, in prior years, as far back as 1763, there was different people that would revolt, and you know, the Boston Tea Party, different things like that would happen along, and then the war started. Okay, the Revolutionary War went for about 7 years. Okay, finally the English had enough of it, and they basically went home. Okay, all right. So then another 6 years go by, and Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin and all these guys can't see everybody. Ben Franklin and those guys, they tried to get the Constitution written up and then get it approved. So once they got it going, that happened in 1889. I think it's got a hit down here somewhere. okay? And that is where you read, "We the people," okay? It starts off, "We the people of the United States in order of more perfect union." I'm sure all you kids have heard this over and over again, okay? I've actually been to the Archives building multiple times and seen it. I've been in Washington, I don't know how many times, I can't count. My son lives there now, so I have to go there to see my grandkids. So I get there off and on, okay? Well, then they found out that the Constitution wasn't perfect, okay? So there comes the Bill of Rights. So the first 10 you read here, but there's 27 today, okay? All the way from we could drink alcohol to we can't drink alcohol, now we can drink alcohol, that type of stuff, okay? So it's really, for those guys back then, to have the forethought to think about all this stuff, they're pretty bright guys. I mean, they didn't go to South Dakota State either. You know, they went somewhere, but they were smart guys.
And the District of Columbia in the United States. Our goal as a foundation is to place charters of freedom settings in as many of those communities as possible over the next 10 years. Our hope is that our future leaders will come from communities with their own charters of freedom, that they'll grow up no longer talking about just the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights in Washington, but they'll be talking about their Constitution and their Bill of Rights, the ones they grew up with right here in Tripp County. Now, I have a challenge for you all. This is my closing. Our founding fathers were challenged by the greatest power in the world at their time, the British Empire. They rebelled, they protested, they revolted, and they fought a war for our independence. And all during that time, they are setting up a government that is still in place today over 230 years later. They had a challenge and met that challenge and succeeded. Foundation Forward, along with Brenda Moose, we had a challenge to get your charters of freedom setting here in Tripp County. We've done that. And now your challenge. A while back, Mary Jo and I had just finished dedicating a Charters of Freedom setting in Hanover College in southern Indiana. And we were getting ready to leave, and we were in the campus center, and I looked across the campus center, and there was a guy over there that helped me a lot during the dedication. And I said, I need to go thank this guy again. The guy's name is Ron Wells. He's an African-American facilities and grounds engineer. And I walked across the campus center, and I started shaking Ron's hand. I said, Ron, thank you again for all the help you gave me. And he said, Mr. Patterson, thank you for making this gift to our community. And I'm not real good at being gracious. So I said what I always said, well, you're welcome, and just make sure they use it. And he said, Mr. Patterson, I've already done that. He said, I took my son over last night, and we had to talk. And I said, Ron, that means more to me than anything anybody has ever said. So here is your challenge. You do what Ron Wells did. You bring your child, your grandchild, your niece, your nephew, or other family member down here to your charters of freedom, and you have the talk. You tell them about their freedoms and their rights, and how those freedoms and rights give them an advantage over the rest of the world to pursue their passion, to chase their dreams, to accomplish in life what they want to get out of life. You do that. And as far as this gift goes, we at Foundation Forward will call it even. All right, the Charters of Freedom setting, located at 200 East Street, Winter, South Dakota, is hereby gifted from Vance and Mary Jo Patterson of Burke County, North Carolina, to the children, veterans, and citizens of Tripp County, South Dakota. All rights, responsibilities, and care for this setting, displaying the Declaration of Independence, the United States Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, are hereby transferred to Tripp County this day, September 2nd, 2019.
On behalf of Tripp County Commissioners, we humbly accept this. Anytime we can be part of something patriotic like this, it does put a lump in my throat, and I thank you, Vance, very much for this. have a 30-minute speech that I'd like to give at this time. But due to all the previous speeches, it's been pared down to about 1 minute. I do want to take this moment to again thank the local contractors, Rosebud Concrete, Kutra Electric, McCready Construction, and Mead Lumber for all their efforts to make this happen here today. General Benson, without you, I don't know if this would have got done. I think it might have. The city of Winter, all I really did for the city was answer a phone call from Brendan Hughes. She was persistent, and she has been this entire time with this project. And I think we all owe her a debt of gratitude. Thank you, Brenda. As I think about this, there's one other group of individuals that I think the city of Winter needs to thank, and that's the Tripp County Commissioners. This setting is absolutely perfect. We've talked about the Declaration of Independence. 6,800 American colonials died fighting for these freedoms. 6,800. Today in this setting, by the Veterans Memorial, 5,000 residents of Tripp County have died protecting these rights. There isn't a better spot for this setting and this dedication. Thank you, Commissioners. With that, I say thank you and have a nice day.
It's time for you to come up. This is a historic moment. So I've asked the kids that have been involved, they've been the children of the people that have helped, my grandchildren, to unveil this historic moment. They're the people that will be here in 2087 to remember what they did.
We'll tell you when to do it. Children, veterans, and all citizens of Tripp County, I give you your charters of freedom.
I have a few closing comments. And I want to talk a little bit about the number one. All of what you see here today started with the number one. You see, it came from one trip to DC, one man's dream, one wife's lady, one minister again with one trip to North Carolina to see a dedication. One conversation with an American Legion member of Clark, South Dakota. One veteran talking to another veteran on an 1880 train and sharing ideas. One unselfish veteran sharing the idea when his community wasn't ready to make the commitment. One email, one video, one phone call, one city council meeting, one commissioner meeting. Look what one did for this community. No, one didn't do this alone. It took a community, one heck of a generous community. I challenge each one of you, as Vance did earlier, to bring someone with you to see our charters of freedom. Because if one comes, many will come. If you guys would have been here this morning early when the lights were on, it's beautiful, totally beautiful. We have something to be very proud of. Please sign the guest book, take your time, take a look around. The guest book will be put in the time capsule. Charters of freedom are ours. They're open 24/7, and everyone is welcome. Thank you for coming.